On Thanksgiving, my mother noticed my boy's cleared dish and declared, "No treat for him. He hasn't earned it." My siblings' children were wiping icing from their hands. I inhaled deeply, fastened his jacket, and we departed without uttering a sound. Around 10 in the evening, Father messaged about the home loan handover the following day. I grinned. Of course. Then I accessed my portal and ensured no further installments. One might assume the folks who brought you up would avoid shaming you before your kid, yet mine consistently found ways to astonish me. It fell on the fourth Thursday in November, and as usual, I'd gone overboard in readiness. The previous night, following an exhausting shift at the office, I'd crafted a pair of pastries from the ground up, filled a massive container with baked greens, and included my personal utensils since Mother perpetually griped that I lacked the proper ones. I'd outfitted Mason in a collared shirt and slicked his locks neatly. Naively wishing this occasion might vary, my folks' residence appeared unchanged. A garland adorned the entrance, excessive neutral tones within. Father had the match blaring so intensely it resembled entering a tavern for fans. The foul aroma permeated the space, although it lacked that crafted essence. I'd wager it came from the market. My brother Tyler and his spouse were predictably delayed. His duo, Kyle and Camden, showed up an hour beyond the meal's intended commencement, yelling and bickering over the tablet device. Their outerwear dangled loosely as they dashed toward the sweet spread. I spotted one slurping cream directly from a tart like a feral creature. Mother chuckled. Ketchy chuckled. Mason had remained subdued throughout the journey there. He'd mentioned a slight tummy ache but refused to skip the holiday. He held on to optimism, still convinced kin bonds held value. I ought to have been wiser. He scarcely sampled his meal. Merely a couple nibbles of bird, a ladle of mash. As Mother circulated the confections, the platter bypassed him entirely. And then she voiced it, audible to all present. "No sweet. He hasn't merited it." My palms turned frigid. Tyler scarcely lifted his gaze. His offspring, smeared in glaze, were cramming biscuits past their lips. Father guffawed at a remark from Tyler, as though the incident evaporated. Mother fixed her eyes on me, challenging a response. I glanced at Mason. He refrained from weeping or objecting. He merely creased his cloth and gazed at the void where his portion ought to reside. I uttered nothing. I rose, secured his jacket, collected our belongings, and exited. No one intercepted us. The return trip passed in hush. The details blur now, but I recall Mason peering through the glass the duration, attempting to process the occurrence. Around 10 p.m., my device glowed. A note from Father. "Home loan shift tomorrow." I regarded it. I nearly answered habitually, verifying the dues stayed timely since the prior June because Tyler struggled with employment stability, and another had to guarantee his young ones retained shelter. Yet this instance, I abstained. I entered my profile, halted the automatic deduction. It resembled severing a cord that tethered me across years. I informed no soul. The subsequent dawn, my phone buzzed by 8:17 a.m. Initially Tyler, followed by Mother, then Tyler anew. I permitted each ring to divert to recording while preparing Mason's morning meal. I turned flapjacks as he animatedly described a graphic tale he sketched. His tone brightened once more. He dwelled not on the prior event, though I did. By 9:43, Mother dispatched a note. "We've seldom requested aid, merely occasional assistance. It's kin. Zero reference to the feast day. No remorse. No mention of Mason. Solely a blame veiled as worry. I abandoned it unopened." Tyler's recording commenced near 10 a.m., frantic regarding overlooked dues and lender penalties. He presumed I'd overlooked or erred. He hadn't grasped the intent behind it. Subsequently, a ring from an unknown contact. An individual admonishing me on maintaining the loan active and labeling my choice an immature resentment. I disconnected amid the tirade until I proceeded directly to my computer and erased all automated exchanges linked to them. Mother's charge plate, Father's former coverage plan, Tyler's secondary mobile under my service. A span of discreetly mending their gaps, compensating for their bias and recklessness, concluded. I refused to mend their chaos henceforth, not on this occasion. Observing Mason sidelined as Kyle and Camden garnered every focus, presence, and grins proved intolerable. Even amid their untamed antics, it passed as jest. When Mason displayed reserve, Mother deemed it impolite. I'd once persuaded myself I embodied maturity, preserving harmony, but harmony never existed. Merely a quiet I bore the duty to sustain, while they persisted in extracting. By 3 p.m., Jess's notes flooded in, extended and meandering pleas on what manner of insect behaves thus, how I'd pledged support, how young ones factored in. I withheld reply. I obstructed her contact instead. By 6, Tyler lingered beyond my dwelling. I observed via the slats. He avoided rapping. He merely positioned himself on the entryway, fixated on the portal as if disbelieving my silence. Then he withdrew. That evening, Mason inquired if he might transport a peppermint stick to class for his instructor. I assented. He beamed and embraced me. At 9:57 p.m., Father forwarded a dispatch. I interpreted it as signaling our independence henceforth. I offered no retort. At 10:12, yet another note. Omit recalling who financed your education, who aided your launch. The familiar routine. Invoke a pair of favors from ages past, as though it evened the ledger. They failed to perceive the ledger's fracture. This round, I wasn't merely distancing. I severed the cord utterly. A fragment of me, the segment perpetually hesitant to proceed sans their sanction, began sensing novelty. Liberty. By Monday's outset, it evident none regarded my stance gravely. Tyler deposited 5 recordings through the night, each escalating in urgency. Mother conveyed a lengthy missive asserting such occurrences arise among relations, likening overlooked cloths to halted loan shifts. Father abstained from phoning. Calculated, I recognized. He bided to intervene post-tumult, feigning rationality. They presumed my return inevitable. Tuesday midday, amid sorting attire, the chime sounded. I spied via the slats. She bore no bag. No item upon her. She arrived not for dialogue. She sought to burden me with remorse. I parted the entrance sufficiently to emerge. She plunged forthwith, voicing concern for my state, bafflement at the unfolding, querying my well-being. Then she altered approach. She noted conversing with Tyler, his distress that the lad's puzzled, repeatedly seeking Aunt Ally's whereabouts. She alluded to Mason as well, though unnamed. She customarily evaded his moniker save when feigning affection. I informed her steadily that I concluded. I ceased subsidizing Tyler's existence. I declined to occupy a setting where my boy endured belittlement amid those meant to cherish him. She appeared truly perplexed, as if encountering refusal anew. Then she uttered, "Thus you're penalizing the entire clan over your child's omitted tart slice?" Such she perceived as the crux. I stated our absence from Yuletide or further gatherings. She endeavored to override, enumerating scant instances of their aid. Childcare briefly, a spare chamber amid a split, as though it offset the sums I'd forwarded covertly across seasons. Then arrived the clincher. "You're erring gravely. You'll lament severing kin ties." I refrained from disputing. I omitted elaboration. I retreated within. Mason occupied his chamber with a volume. I perched beyond his threshold briefly, absorbing the rustle of sheets. I craved that routine resonance. That eve, I composed the dispatch to Tyler. Concise, conclusive, finished, cease outreach. Manage your dwelling loan independently. Manage your existence. Subsequently, I barred his contact, Jess's contact, and excised mother and father from all portals they accessed. Services, media streams, coverage. Even the bulk buy affiliation mother utilized via my credentials. It could appear trivial, yet proved essential. The ensuing day, father rang from an alternate line, depositing a recording. "You're acting spitefully. We bestowed all upon you, and presently you spurn due to disliking the feast's progression. That's not familial operation, yet precisely thus our kin functioned." I maintained quietude. I'd financed it all while they disregarded my boy. I wearied of feigning affection. It lacked essence. It embodied dominance, and I terminated submission. They persisted undeterred. They commenced contacting relatives, long-standing acquaintances, even Mason's sponsor absent for seasons, narrating to all I'd unraveled that I'd banished the clan over a confection fragment. I commenced fielding reproving and bewildered dispatches. Yet then, unforeseen. Lauren, my kin on father's lineage, conveyed a note. "Though our chats lapsed, I affirm I perceive your plight." They replicated it toward my mother pre her departure, perpetually rescuing them. And subsequently my Aunt Michelle. At last, one halted financing Tyler's habits. He's 36 yet conducts as 17. By 1-1, individuals commenced discreetly extending aid sans proclamation. That instilled assurance. Not tranquility per se, but lucidity. They'd descend chaotically sans funds. I anticipated further remorse and coercion, yet fear dissipated. A week onward, a manually inscribed epistle from father materialized, cataloging each sum expended on me. Second-hand vehicle bedding provisions for Mason's arrival. At base, a sum encircled crimson, we nurtured you, this the expense. I chortled. Not mirthfully, but insightfully. They never cherished Sans ledger. I discarded the epistle and decanted a chalice of vintage. The morrow, Mason returned bearing a wax-rendered sketch depicting him isolated at a spread with a pastry distant. Camden had disseminated that Mason barred from Nana's due to my fiscal shortfall for sweets. I clarified plainly. At times, grown-ups prioritize currency over individuals. He assented, and I discerned the initial mark. Shortly hence, an aged communal vault signaled a $3,000 extraction. I immobilized all. Credit lines, vaults, codes, coverage, shared ledgers, even Tyler's automobile I'd endorsed. Then arrived recordings. Tyler imputing me for distressing his young. Mother asserting we're relations, departure impossible, and father cautioning remorse inevitable. I'd already arranged my quarters. Lauren, my kin, dispatched affirmation. You're not the irrational here. Mother disseminated falsehoods, alleging my instability and Mason's seclusion. Astonishment eluded me. Sans my funds, survival eluded them, thus character assassination ensued. I retrieved a ledger and commenced scheming. 3 regions, employment postings, academies, living expenses. This concerned autonomy and endurance, affording Mason a youth where significance prevailed. By December's dawn, their tales morphed into melodramatic saga digitally. Yet subdued, matters frayed, Tyler's conveyance seized. Lauren noted succinctly, to the hauler, he evaded emergence. Days later, the eviction alert. Swifter than foreseen. No dues since my cessation. The favored heir forfeited the favored abode. Tyler rang once. Tone altered, bereft of prior arrogance. You've sufficed. The young tremble, your stance registered, then terminated. I withheld retort. I'd secured a dual-chamber lease on a serene lane. Superior Academy zone. Half-hour from a modest metropolis in fresh territory. Fresh employment. Distant primary. Crated. Auctioned furnishings, reserved relocation vehicle, and vanished sans notification. 2 days pre-departure, mother noted, fleeing alters naught, Mason requires kin, you invariably return, she held truth. Prior returns for crises or observances, yet this juncture I withdrew mutely. Our inaugural dawn in the novel abode. Rays flooded Mason's space, it's profoundly still here, he murmured. Indeed, absent alarms, absent clamor, merely the structure's ease. We savored Flapjack's ground level, uncrated leisurely, and permitted Mason to dictate progression. He affixed a lunar image and queried if lunar sighting possible someday. The reprisal unfolded gradually. Michelle noting, Lauren murmuring of invocations and indoctrination. Even barred lines cautioning Mason's isolation and maturity, yet others extended subdued aid and comprehension. The more I disregarded the spectacle, the feebler their grasp. Mason initiated academy. His guide observed he absorbs all. He monitored my life's navigation, my resolve, my releases. We surveyed the locale, discovered a path to iced waters, and erected our fresh existence sans them. One dusk, Mason posed. Do you suppose they yearn for us? I responded negatively. Yet that's permissible. We're no longer theirs to yearn. No theatrical clashes, no reprisal, merely a pristine severance. 0.6 months elapsed. The crates vanished. The abode sense of us. Mason chuckles unbound now. I've attained equilibrium professionally. And each instance I witness his fresh revelations or his roster of warm season schemes solely ours, I affirm this choice's rectitude. We transcended mere evasion. We constructed superior.